Yes, the bus is back on the road. It is the bus home. It is the post-match show. Red Star Belgrade 1, Celtic 1. I'm not even going to try and pronounce the Serbian name. I know the commentators are doing that. I know you've tried it a few times, Terry. I'm not even going to try. But it's in the name of the video anyway. But as you can see on the screen, Red Star, we're just going to stick with that one. But yeah, it ends 1-1. We get off to... We've got points on the board after the first game. So... my first thoughts before we go really into it, Terry, is kind of job done for me. I'm quite happy with that overall. How are you feeling tonight after that one?
I'm disappointed. To be honest, I'm feeling that one along with Zagreb last year. I think it's one of those ones. Before the game, you probably think, yeah, if we get out of Dodge with a point, then fair enough. But the way the game plays out, the fact that we got ahead, the fact that we had other decent chances, once you go in front, you kind of hope that you're able to see it out. And the goal we lost was a disappointing one, albeit I think if you over the whole 90 minutes, I think we probably didn't deserve to win. A draw was probably a fair result because they did have quite a few chances as well. I thought second half was a bit more lively and a bit more enjoyable as a watch. Thought the first half was awful. Two pale shadows of teams that used to be good playing in an half-empty stadium. I think we can get used to that.
And the sodding rain as well just added to the Olympics as well.
That might be a theme throughout the next few months in Europa League night. My initial reaction was one of disappointment, but I don't think we played well enough to deserve 3 points, albeit you get in front and then you give them an equaliser. You know, they did create their own chances, but the one that we gave them, we gave it away. Another set piece, poor defending. But yeah, we're off. We've got a point on the board from an away game. Did I embrace the Europa League? I said on the weekend there, probably when the game would come round, that I would. And do you know what I did? I was looking forward to it during the course of the day. It's not the Champions League, but it's where we're at, and it's probably our level, and we need to accept that.
We definitely do, but I will get into the finer details of the game. But before we do any of that, of course, you know what to do, folks. You can do all that good stuff, help us out massively again. So hit the old like button. As Teddy likes to say, like, what is it? Like, share, show as you care. I like that wee jingle. That's a good pretend you care. So do all that, all the good stuff. Get involved in our comments tonight. Share the link in the channel far and wide. Hit subscribe if you only discovered this night. And you become a member as well. Get yourself a wee Celtic scarf next to your name for $1.99 a month, and just help keep some diesel in the bus tank. So yes, with all that said, Daniel, we'll just get into it because obviously it's a late one tonight, so we're aiming to be off by 11 o'clock. So yeah.
You were happy, Phil, weren't you? You were happy with the point.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I think the way I always look at it with Celtic, PTSD has hit me pretty hard when it comes to Celtic away from home in Europe. The amount of shocking things that seem to happen to us on our away ventures. I always call it Celtic doing Celtic things in Europe. You could literally have a bingo card of all the calamitous things that seem to happen to us. I know there'll be fans of other teams all around the continent who always think, woe, always us, we're the unluckiest team in the world, but I genuinely feel nobody loses some of the goals that compared to what Celtic do. Some of the ridiculous decisions, penalties we give away, we have red cards, we lose 2 goals in rapid succession. All these tropes that I've seen over the years. So when it comes to an away game in Europe, I'm just like, do you know what? A point is always good, and it's always about making the home games count and looking at who we've got in the home games. The Roma one aside, Braga, Sturm Graz, and we've got Utrecht. You've got to be looking at taking the maximum points here, and then the Roma one is whatever happens. So to me, away games, beggars can't be choosers, really, and I'm just like, if we get a point, I'm quite happy with it, Terry.
I mean, I didn't do a massive background study, but I joined a few dots just when I was waiting on the game starting, and so Red Star beat Partizan at the weekend 2-1 away from home, and they're the top 2 teams in the league. Red Star are top, and Partizan are 2 behind. Haven't played a game extra. But Hibs went to Partizan earlier this season and won 2-0 and actually put them out of probably this competition. It's probably the competition that we're in, or the next one.
It was either out of the Conference League, Europa or Conference League, one or the other.
Yeah. So I kind of, if you join the dots on that, you're going into the game thinking, it's probably going to be close enough, and it could go either way. Team lineup, Phil.
Yeah, let's get the team lineup. There it is.
So, what's your thoughts on that? Was that in and around what you expected?
Well, the one that stood out, and I think the reaction was quite universal, was Yang starting again. Yang got thrown in against Partick Thistle, which, fair enough, it was Partick Thistle. It was a lower League One. Even though a lot of fans are still of the opinion that Yang should probably be nowhere near it. But we're going into a European night away from home. You could say I thought in the run-up to the game it was quite a hostile atmosphere, but as you said, the stadium was pretty much half empty. Probably the weather was contributing to that. But yeah, Yang stood out there as being in the starting 11 was a bit of an odd choice. Maeda through the middle did not surprise me, because the way I thought with the game plan and how it was going to go was, we're away from home in Europe, you want to be sort of like absorbing the pressure, camped in. You want somebody up front that will cover a lot of ground. But as we saw with the way the game panned out for Maeda, it was like he was in another postcode for most of the night. He was offside in pretty much every single attack in that first half. And what a world of difference in the second half with Iheanacho on, just for the hold-up play, just his physicality, and obviously the finish. He could add more than just the goal that he scored, but we'll also get talking about the contrast there. But yeah, the two things that stood out really in the lineup, Yang getting a start again and Maeda coming back in through the middle. I thought that was the right call. As I say, the way you expect to be on the counter for most of the night and absorbing pressure, you need a guy up front who can cover a hell of a lot of ground. But yeah, in the end, it was the other striker that came on that ended up being the story of the night.
Yeah, so I expected Schmeichel to play the game, but I did think there was just a question there over whether Sinsalo being he may not even be the cup goalkeeper. That'll be an interesting one in the semi-final to see, does he keep his top place for that. But if he's going to be coming in next season, could we have given him the Europa League as well? And we'll touch on Schmeichel a wee bit later.
What did you make of the midfield three, Terry? Because that one's Brendan's getting a lot of pressure for. He keeps sticking with that three, and a lot of fans are like, it's not really working.
Fully expected him to go with it, because that's what he does. He's stubborn and he won't change things. I didn't expect him to change it. I think it does need to be changed. It's clearly not working. He will say that he's playing the same three to try and get some kind of rhythm built. I would say if you keep doing the same thing and expecting something to be different, then it's insanity. But I don't know. He's obviously feels Negrin, Hatate, and McGregor are the three that he wants to hang his hat on, and you've got question marks over all three at the moment. To be honest, I thought Hatate was poor tonight, gave the ball away even more than he usually does. I thought Negrin showed great feet for the goal, but I thought virtually everything else he done was pretty poor. I think he's culpable at the goal. He doesn't attack the ball in the air with the same aggression that the guy that gets the first header. And McGregor, again, he's not at the level he was this time last season. And each time you see him, it just feels like he's it feels like he's a wee bit older than he was the last time you seen him, which I suppose is actually the case. But you don't expect to see a decline from match to match. He wasn't dreadful or anything, but
there was a few moments where, again, just how conservative he plays. There was one in the first half where Red Star came forward, we'd intercepted it on the edge of our area, and Callum's pushing forward, and just does a wee sideways pass to the side to Yang, who's not really expecting it, and he kind of stumbles over the ball, and they end up breaking and nearly make a chance out of it. And it's like those wee moments, those wee breaks, don't seem to go our way at times. We seem to cause our own problems. That's another trope of Celtic in Europe as well. We always seem to cause our own problems at times. And yeah, there was just a few. The talk about Hatate as well. I've said that a few times. He just plays too quickly at times. He's always looking for a quick pass, and it's like nobody else in the team is ready for it. So we just give the ball away cheaply. And Reegan was the opposite. He was so slow. I mean, that counter-attack in the second half where there were 5 Celtic jerseys going forward, and I think there was only like 3 Red Star defenders or 4 Red Star defenders back. So we had like a man advantage there. And yeah, he just slows it down, gets tackled from our side. Yeah, we win the free kick. But when you see the replay again, he's never ever looking to his right hand side. He's not even aware of this defender closing him down. He's always looking to his left the entire time, and it's like, oh,
I think he'd lost possession. I know the guy got booked and everything, but I think he'd lost possession. He took a bad touch. If not Yang, who are we expecting on the right hand side?
Well, the thing is, obviously against Kelly, he did try playing Balakisha there. I know Maeda in the Ange days would sometimes move to the right and to accommodate Jota, and they would switch around and whatnot. I've said before, I think at this stage we can't really be relying on James Forrest, to be starting games. He is more an impact player coming on at this stage in his career. But again, this goes back to highlighting the transfer window and how we mismanaged it. The right wing was screaming out for, we needed some work there, and we've ended up loading up on left wingers. And we've seen so far from the options that it's not a case that just because he's a winger, he'll be okay on both sides. Because Balakisha, I say wasn't particularly great against Kelly. Maeda could maybe play there. We don't want to play Foss, and Yang is just like the Yang experiment's long over. This is the guy who was not even halfway out the door. He was properly out the door on deadline day, and we had to bring him back because the deal all fell through at the last minute. But yeah, we didn't really get much out of him tonight. But that's unfortunately the waters we swim in now with that right hand side of the forward line. We're definitely lacking options there. So hopefully Brendan can find something that's a consistent one through to January. And then, of course, we're relying on doing something in January in the window. We'll wait and see what happens to that one. But yeah, that's definitely a gaping hole right now in the team. We need somebody there that can just click and fill that void.
I'm not sure we'll get that. I think it'll be a wee bit like the goalkeeper position during the COVID season, where he just keeps trying somebody different game after game to try and get something different to happen. I kind of thought Maeda would be the one, but I don't really remember Rodgers playing him out there too often. I know whenever Andrew was in charge, he did pop up there quite regular. I wasn't surprised Iheanacho not starting, given that he's barely kicked a ball for best part of 2 years, and you're possibly looking at him then to play 3 games in 6 days. I thought he would probably start on the bench. Forrest seems to play a lot better when you bring him on towards the end than he does if you start him. Whenever we were chasing Balakwisha, and in the know, people are giving you their scout reports and things on him, and they're saying he plays across the whole front line. He can play across the whole front line. Yeah. But after one game, we've decided, no, he can play across the whole front line except for the right-hand side. And it probably now seems he can play across the whole front line except for the right-hand side or the middle. So he can't play across the whole front line. He can only play on one side. And we've got someone for there, albeit he was very quiet tonight. The fullback did a job on him. For whatever reason, he didn't seem to want to go at him, or he didn't get enough opportunity to go at him, or he knew maybe he knew he was up against it. He'd one good run towards the end, but other than that, quiet. But again, whenever we were waxing lyrical about him, we were saying, this kind of performance, he won't just keep rolling these out week after week after week. Wingers are inconsistent by nature, and they'll go through spells of being unplayable, and they'll go through spells where very little seems to happen. But I think for Yang to still be starting when we've got a £5 million signing that we thought could play right across the front line, it's pretty damning. And it's not Yang's fault anymore. I thought Yang was terrible tonight. I thought he gave the ball away, but it's not a Yang problem anymore for me. It's the manager picking the players, and those three midfielders. I mean, they're coming in for a bit of criticism, but they don't pick the team. The players that he picks go on, and it's on him. It's on him if he keeps picking Yang. It's on him if he keeps picking that midfield three. You can go deeper than that and go, he's dealing with what he's got, but it's not the players. It's not the players' problem anymore. Like Yang suddenly hasn't. His form suddenly hasn't dropped off a cliff. He's still the same player. He's still doing the same things that he did 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago, a season and a half.
The outlier is when he does something good. Every so often you get a wee flash, a wee moment, or maybe half a game or something where he looked quite lively. That's the outlier. It's not the other way around.
The wee 15 at the end of the game in Munich, you're going, superb. But through time, whenever he starts games, he does nothing. And I gave him a bit more rope than most people did, but it's one of those ones you might even be better just letting him go during that window as well. Maida was very quiet, Phil. Again, have we seen the best of him? Is he struggling to deal with his move not materializing? Who knows? First half, thought they had a few chances. Yang switched off, and there was a chance. There was a few balls come in from our right hand side, and they had a couple of shots on goal. There was one where Yang gave the ball away, and the guy has a shot that hits the in around the stanchion between the join between the post and the bar. Schmeichel did get a really tiny fingertip to it, so it does go down as an excellent save from him. Arnautovic had a very good chance where he's connected with it really well on a volley, but it's off target. And then probably the best chance of that first half, without doubt for me, was the Celtic free kick right at the very end. Probably the only thing we did that half was a good delivery from Reegan, and Carter Vickers got a score there, doesn't he?
He's got to at least hit the target. Didn't even manage to do that. It was funny enough all night. Reegan, who had quite a abject game, that was a brilliant delivery from him. Great free kick. Because one thing that I noticed during the night, we tried it a few times, and my dad said this when we were watching it. We always try and take quick free kicks at times. Just settle down. Let the guys get in position, and obviously we created that really good chance. But there's a few moments where we'll try to take quick ones. And my dad said that. I said, have we ever prospered from trying to do that? I don't think we have, but that was an example of take your time, let everybody settle, get in position, and Carter Vickers has got to hit the target at the very least there, and he doesn't even manage to do that. It was there's not even anything you can look at and go, he was put off by something, or he was maybe nudged a wee bit and it just put him off balance. It was a perfectly clean header, and he just completely scuffed it. But that ended up being the best chance. And you said earlier on as well about the fingertip save that Kasper Schmeichel made onto the crossbar. That came from the one I said earlier on about McGregor tried to play a wee side pass to Yang, who wasn't ready, and then they just broke off of that, and it's a shot that's flying. When you see it from behind the player, when he hits it, it's flying right in that top corner. So it's an amazing save. And Joe Hart on commentary said that, obviously being a goalkeeper himself, he could relate. But the first half really, you see a couple of chances at the side netting for Red Star, Arnautovic, but the Yang one that you mentioned as well. I think he was, again, this is about playing to the whistle and just staying concentrated. We've seen Yang switch off before. Remember at Ibrox when he just didn't, was it Rabbi Matondo, just didn't show him down the outside. And it's like there was a throw-in, that came from a throw-in there, that chance for Red Star. And he's too busy moaning at the referee about something, and they've taken the throw-in and he's basically switched off. They've been able to get a cross in. And I think they said on the commentary that obviously they were showing the replay, but apparently Schmeichel was getting laid into Yang for that one as well. So he definitely held him responsible. But that was pretty much the highlights of the first half. It was a hell of an opening in the second half, though, to say the least. Yeah,
so you get in at half time and you're probably thinking we're going to rue that one, given as you say, given your your gut feel with these games and how they tend to finish off. But we did start the second half stronger. We did start with Iheanacho coming on for Maeda. What did you think about that as a substitution at that time? Because whilst Maeda was very quiet, I didn't think he would come off. I thought he would move across to Yang's place. That's what I expected to happen.
Exactly. I was thinking, me and my dad said the same thing, but like I know Maeda's had a quiet one, so I don't know what that says for hooking him off at half time. Because the last time a player that was playing through the middle got hooked off at half time, that was Adam Ida against Kairat. But yeah, he was having a quiet one, so the offsides were frustrating. I don't know if it was just the Red Star defence were just wary of him and were just stepping up all the time, or was he just not fully in it? Because he was, I think it was every attack that came forward, he was offside. So I would have maybe tried him out wide. As I said earlier on, under Ange, he'd pop up on the right hand side sometimes, so it's not completely alien to him. And I think you would still get a bit more out of him than Yang. But yeah, he made his choice. But I say what an impact within minutes of being on. That you could see right away, even before the good save the goalkeeper pulled off and the goal itself. Just the general hold-up play and link-up play, that strength that he's got. We saw it against Partick Thistle as well. And where you're like, for all the cynicism around the signing of Iheanacho and how it came about, and yeah, that was a shambles in the end, the way the window finished. I think a lot of fans are starting to go, do you know what? This is a bit of a sleeper, this one. This could surprise a lot of people. He looks like, one, he's got a point to prove, because obviously he's been written off by quite a lot of people. So I think the player himself has kind of got a bit of a chip on his shoulder that he's got a point to prove. But I think Brendan knows that if I could get this guy firing, he is going to be a very useful asset for us. And I think a few fans are starting to see that now.
So 5 minutes into the second half, Phil, Tierney gets down the left. Excellent pass to find him. He cuts it back, and you're just waiting for the net to bulge. And Negrin basically passes it straight back to the goalkeeper. He gets absolutely nowhere near enough on it. And again, for me, you're then starting to think it's just going to be one of those nights. We're going to rue these misses. The Carter Vickers missed just before half time. The Negrin missed just after. Then a minute later, Negrin does well down the right hand side, crosses the ball for Iheanacho 2 yards out, and that's what you get whenever you sign a free transfer the day after the window closes.
Yep.
Then we take the lead a couple of minutes later, and excellent play from Negrin. Great feet, great vision, great pass. And Kelechi Iheanacho shows why we might have a gem in our hands.
The duality of mankind there within a matter of minutes. For 1 minute, he's absolutely rubbish. And then, what a player. Never doubted him for a second. It was a great goal. It was very well taken. The touch that he takes to kill it dead and steady himself under the pressure that he had as well. Fantastic. What a finish. But yeah, Negrin does really well. Best thing Negrin obviously did all night. Because I say everything else he seemed to do all night was really coming off. He was pretty abject, but that was a great run, and yeah, just great vision, composure as well, just to pick him out. And I say the touch is so key because he's got a couple of defenders around him. Also, he manages to keep himself on side. That you could very easily drift offside there, but he stayed concentrated. And yeah, just took it really, really well. And at that point, with the way the second half had started, you're like, by the way, this we could get. Remember when was it Anderlecht that we beat under Brendan years ago? I'm pretty sure that was like 0-0 at halftime. Did we not come out and storm them in the second half? And it's like, you just felt like, okay, we've started this second half. We weathered a wee bit of a storm in the first half, but there was something that was telling me, but we could go on and win this here. But of course, it wasn't meant to be. But nevertheless, a hell of a finish by Kelechi, and again get him up to full speed. And I think we're going to see a real player here.
With that moment of quality, though, for me, it begs the question: why are we only seeing that in really small flashes from this team? Because to me, we're playing this season. We're playing with a handbrake on until that sort of flurry at the start of the second half. Our first half performance just reminded me pretty much of that week where we went to Almaty and did nothing. We went to Ibrox and done nothing. I know we had the Carter Vickers chance, but apart from that first half, it was almost as if we're just there going through the motions. Again, going back to the manager's comments, which I just can't believe, where he said Simpson Pusey is trying to get up to speed with our intensity. We play with the intensity of a turtle pulling a trailer. Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely awful to watch. And then you see that moment of quality, and you're going, why are we not doing more of that? Why have we had to endure the first half? Why have we had to endure those other games that I've mentioned? When there is this quality in the team, we know there's quality in the team. Why can the manager not get it out? And he's probably asking himself the same question as well. And you're just hoping that this is just one of those periods that you do go through at some point in the season, but we're going through it at the very start, which isn't ideal. Ian Acho, you can just see the runs that he makes, his decision making. I know his touch for the goal was very good, but there were a couple of times his touch was a wee bit heavy. He probably still has a wee bit of conditioning to do physically, which will see him become a bit more mobile. But again, it's going back to Stephen Craigan's comments at the weekend that I found funny, but they're actually true. He plays like a centre forward, so he's got the brain of a centre forward. And you know what? It would just be like the Celtic board if he did turn out to be the joker in the pack this season, and he is the one that makes the difference. Whenever, again, we only signed him because of the disaster of a window that we had. But anyway, we go one each. Arnautovic, veteran centre forward. Didn't get a lot of change out of Liam Scales, if I'm being honest.
A wee bit of handbags after the goal as well.
Yeah, there was. Yeah. But he's in the right place at the right time. I felt Negrin has to be more aggressive. He has to at least make a challenge for that ball. He's beaten far too easy for the first header. Schmeichel then makes a decision that he's going to go out to the guy with the ball, and then he kind of stops and he's in no man's land. Whenever it's cut back, he's out of the game, and then you're just trusting to luck, and we didn't get luck on that occasion. Then you're thinking, please don't do the Celtic thing, don't concede one and then concede another one straight away, and then we almost concede another one straight away. Someone makes the save. Then we get a few more changes. Engels, double change. Engels and Forrest come on for Hatate and Yang. Don't think those two guys can have any complaints. There could have been a few more go off at that stage. But where are you at then? We're getting into the last 20 minutes. We've been ahead. We've been pegged back. We've made a couple of changes. Are you thinking you'd be happy enough if we just see this through without much action?
Yes and no, which is a bit of a neutral answer, because again, I keep going back to my default setting of a point away from home's good, but again, with hindsight, and you're watching the game play out in front of you, you're like, this team aren't that good. Like, they're not. And I think you were right to draw the comparison earlier on to Dynamo Zagreb a year ago, where it's like, you know, at the end of the day, you go, a point away from home's a good result in Europe because Celtic always struggle, but then you look at how the opposition shaped up and they weren't up to much at all. And it's like, if we just have a wee bit more belief in ourselves, just a wee bit more conviction, we can win this here. But again, you know, with Celtic doing Celtic things in Europe, there's always that danger in the back of your head that we are one stupid mistake away from throwing this out the door. So you're kind of like, stick or twist here, or, you know, push comes to shove, I'll take a point. But yeah, looking at how the game panned out, it's like, if we just found a few more quality moments in the final third, and we're just a wee bit smarter with some of our play, then it could have been a different story. One thing I do think we did do pretty well tonight, especially when it was getting late in the game, I thought we were quite good at buying free kicks, which is something that happens to us a lot, Terry. A lot of teams are very street smart against us in Europe, and they're very good at, you know, killing the game, killing momentum and whatnot. Obviously, when Red Star got their equaliser, naturally, you know, the wind is in their sails and they're going to be pushing because they are the home team. I feel at times we were quite good at sort of like killing the play, going down, winning free kicks and whatnot, leaning into the rest of our players, you know, the old Chris Sutton trick, you know, just lean into them and go down, get a free kick and whatnot. So I felt like we did that pretty well, because I've seen it enough times with us getting stung by that sort of stuff and getting frustrated by it. I think we actually played that pretty well tonight.
Engels absolutely bought one towards the end, and I mean, sometimes some of the teams that you come up against in Europe, they are really, really savvy, but you do also get reckless ones, and you know, they could have fell into that trap tonight because they were starting to pick up yellow cards in that last 20 minutes as well. Iheanacho gets one more chance. He's in on the goalkeeper, albeit ever narrow an angle with the goalkeeper coming out, and he shows you that's what you get whenever you sign a free transfer.
Yeah,
No, I think he's unlucky.
yeah.
I think he does the right thing because when you see it from behind the play, you can see how narrow the angle has been made by the keeper, and I think he does the right thing trying to dink it over him. And he's very unlucky. Another 2 inches and that ball's in the net because the keeper doesn't get it with his hands. It hits his forehead, and if he's just able to lift that another couple of inches, as I say, that one ends up in the net, and yeah, you're just talking about him all night. The fact that he got those 3 opportunities, I think that's a positive in itself because he's getting into the right positions and the guys have been able to find him. So I think that's definitely something to build on going forward. Sirachi comes on for Tierney. Balagwisha comes on for Tenekte. What's your thoughts then on the Tenekte performance? I just think it was going to be one of those things. At some point, he was going to have a quiet game. Yeah. I did say on the Sunday there that I think what you'll see is teams starting to make a plan for him because he's been the only bright spark for us this season, albeit he's only played the last 2 games, but nobody was a bright spark before then. And I think team talks up and down the SPL and in these Europa games, if he is identified as being the one bright spark and you can keep him quiet, then the chances are you're going to keep Celtic quiet. And they've done a decent job on him tonight. And as I said, I can't put my finger on it. Was he being really tightly marked? Did he just get a feeling early on that he didn't feel he got the beating of his man, or did we just not get the ball out to him enough? What's your thoughts around just why he was a bit quieter tonight?
Well, ironically enough, just before he got subbed, it looked like their fullback, the Korean boy, was tiring a little bit. And it was like, now he's starting to get a wee bit more joy, a wee bit of change out of him, and then we took him off. But just one of the things, it was a relatively quiet performance. I don't think he's going to put in a blistering 5-star performance in every game, but he did what he had to do at times tonight. See, everyone had to sort of chip in to, make sure we got the results. See, it could have been worse if we threw that game away and, we'd be sitting here with a different tone completely, abject misery after another failed away game in Europe. So, he did what he had to do at times. There was a few moments in the first half where we were coming down that left-hand side, him and Tierney. I felt had a bit of joy coming down that side, but just the final ball was maybe lacking. But no, I think overall, I'm not too worried about it. I've seen enough from him already to go, he's, probably one of the sparks that we were missing, because you highlighted Iheanacho as well, just making chances. Though that wee run of games that we had just before the international break, just making a chance was an achievement for Celtic in that game, but or in any game. But now, you look at tonight, they're falling that way. So just a wee bit of lucky as well with some of the chances that we missed. And yeah, just for Tenekte's case, just maybe just one of the nights where I just never really got hold of the game. But I'm not exactly worried about him overall. I think he looks like he'll be come the end of the season, we'll be talking about a very strong season for the boy.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. Let's look at a couple of the players then, or 3. First one, Phil, is this guy.
Yes.
Did talk about the excellent save that he made where he tipped it onto the woodwork. And he made one other save from Arnautovic just after we conceded the equaliser. But I thought he was a wee bit erratic at times. There was one cross that he came for where he was never ever getting it, and then he's looking about and he hasn't a clue where the ball is. Yeah. And just some of his distribution on the ground. I mean, we've lauded him for the last wee while around his kicking, his ability with his feet. But this season, he just doesn't seem to be on the radar just as much as he has been. He's obviously at the age that he's at, and as we've seen with other goalkeepers, the decline can come on quite quickly when you get to that stage. Is he our number one? Do you think it would have been worth giving Sinsalo the Europa games as well, given that we expect that he'll be number one next season?
I'd said, you and I came on after the game at Ibrox, and I said on that show, I would give Sinisalo the European games as well as the Cup games, because you're looking at about 17 games he's going to get there. Because this guy is, unless the manager, obviously we expect the manager's going to change in the summer. If the new manager, whoever it ends up being, Roberto Martinez, as you called, comes in and says that I want a different goalkeeper in, but Sinisalo's there and I think ready to step in. So I think you try and bleed him in as much as you can. As it stands right now, I think it's still very clear that in Brendan's eyes, Casper is the number one. The cross that you highlighted there, I know the goal got disallowed at Ibrox in the end, the John Suter one, but that again was very similar. Nobody really blocking him. He's got sort of empty ground to run into, and he just comes out and completely flaps at it and completely misses it. Just like I say at Ibrox, even though the goal was disallowed in the end, but it's just you just see that, and I know goalkeepers don't obviously run about. They're pretty much, that's why a lot of goalkeepers play to a long range, but that doesn't mean that they don't get affected by age and whatnot, and fitness can still hit them hard. And it does look like age is starting to show for Casper. See, for me personally, I would have gave Sinisalo the European games as well. I think his distribution's always been pretty good as well. I think he's very confident with the ball at his feet, and that, of course, is something that Brendan wants to play. Like most managers nowadays want to play out through the back. I think on current balance, Sinisalo is probably better with his feet. So I don't think it would have been a huge risk to have started them. But I think Brendan's now made it quite clear that, you're getting the domestic cup games, Sinisalo, and it will still be Kasper Schmeichel for the European nights. If Sinisalo started tonight, different story, but I think Brendan's made it pretty clear. And going forward in the league, unless there's an injury, it's still going to be Kasper. But do I necessarily agree with it? Not totally. I think Sinisalo's got a strong enough case to get a run of games. I wouldn't have any worries about him playing.
Just for balance, I probably feel as if I haven't seen enough of Sinisalo to decide whether he is the number one goalkeeper in the future. But what I will say is when he's played, he has looked very assured, very calm, and I don't remember too many heart attack moments whenever he's been playing.
Yeah.
But Schmeichel this season, there's a lot of heart and mouth stuff, which when you start to hit 50 like I am, you don't really want the pressure on the old ticker just as much as that. But we've already covered this next guy, Iheanacho comes on. I think if he doesn't come on in that second half, we don't get that result. I think he's changed the game, just his presence, his awareness, his movement, and his cool, calm finish on one occasion, and his dreadful finishes in another. There
was a comment earlier on that I brought up that described him as a focal point, and going back to the comment you laughed at from Stephen Reegan, Johan Mjalby said something tonight as well when he was critiquing David Maeda's performance in the first half, saying, because he's not really, that isn't really his role. He doesn't have that sort of brain, for the awareness of playing like a striker. Yes, he had an amazing season last season. Obviously, from playing on the wing and playing through the middle, he stepped up and he scored a lot of goals and whatnot. But he isn't his number one position. But Iheanacho, again, go back to the Stephen Gray one, he plays like a striker because he's got that, that's been drilled into him from a young age, playing in that position. And you can see the world of difference, just his movement, his hold-up play. And it goes back to he's a focal point. He knows to be in where he needs to be at times as well. And the David Maeda tonight was in another postcode at times because he was that much offside. It was just like ridiculous at times to watch.
The key thing for me was getting into those positions and the teammates being able to find him and create those chances. And yes, do I wish he'd scored all three, 100%. But I'm optimistic, just given how he influenced that second half, just by being on there and starting to make things happen. With 125 in the live fill, which is awesome at this time on a Wednesday night. But I'm going to bring up one final player who I thought was man of the match tonight, and just from the comments, I don't think us two tonight are going to disagree. Yes. This young fella, I'd said on Sunday, he was one of my players to focus on Sunday because not really for his performance on Sunday, but just more so because of the scenario that he's come in. He probably was about to go out. I think he was possibly going to go to Dundee on loan. That fell through because we got an injury to Alistair Johnson. Anthony Ralston then came in for Johnson. Then he got injured, and then this young lad was thrust into the first team. I don't think he's done too much wrong in the first couple of games that he played, but tonight I think he was better than that. I actually think he was really, really good tonight. I thought he had an excellent performance, and defensively sound, not afraid to take the ball in tight positions. There were sometimes Carter Vickers was giving him a ball, and there was a man pressing him, and I'm thinking, you haven't done the kid any favors there, but it didn't seem to faze him. And getting forward, he looks happy facing the defender up and trying to get to the byline. Really, really impressed with him tonight. And it could be another one of these ones where you just stumble across a really good player. I'm not for 1 second saying he's going to end up like Kieran Tierney, but Kieran Tierney was almost a stroke of luck because
you're right.
There was nobody else available, and he got brought over to make up the numbers at training one day, and then the players liked what they seen, and they kind of encouraged the manager to get him involved a little bit more. So obviously, if he goes on to have a quarter of the career that Tierney's had so far, then he'll do well. But sounds really, really good for him, and he'll go on to have a good career at a decent level, regardless, from here. But who knows? It could be at Celtic, and we might see a lot more of this kid even when the other two guys come back.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you brought up that Kieran Tierney comparison, because I was going to mention that as well, because fate can work in strange ways. And Tierney's story was they weren't even, I don't think he was even the starting left back for the reserve team at the time. And as you say, he was he joined in a training session, and John Collins and Ronnie Dyler happened to like what they saw. And yeah, the rest is history. Kobe Donovan, fate has dealt him a good hand here, where Alistair Johnson gets injured, and then Anthony Ralston also gets injured at the same time. And I think the best compliment you can pay the boy, and Joe Hart said it best. Even a few minutes before he said that, I'm saying that my dad was so waxing lyrical about him. He doesn't look out of place, given how young he is, and this is his first season of any sort of real first team competitive football. He doesn't look out of place. He didn't look out of place tonight in a European game, regardless of what many of us may think about the Europa League, that it's a second-rate competition or whatever. It was still a big level for him to step up to, and yet tonight I felt he played really well. Man of the match, I'd go along with that in terms of the players in the Celtic shirt and their performances. I think Kobe Donovan's in with a great shout at that. Thought he was fantastic, composed, never looked flustered, and I think the future's bright for him. So we again, with the way fate works, we may have stumbled across the next sort of. We don't produce many when you think about it, what's came through our academy. It's been a wee while since we've had something really good come through the academy. This could be it. And I think even when Tony Ralston, obviously he's on the bench tonight, I think, Donovan's got to keep that spot. And when Alistair Johnson's back fit, it's like, well, I think Donovan surely is the number 2 choice when Johnson's up and running again. So to me, I think the boy is the future's very bright for him, and he can only go from strength to strength for here.
Ralston might be getting the old trial dusted off again.
Yeah, right. You're right indeed. Aye.
Okay. A couple of comments I starred earlier. I don't know the answer to this, but I'm pretty sure you'll know, Phil. Last time you scored a direct free kick, was it Jota? Have we had one since?
Do you know, I think that could be correct, because I think this is a question I've seen on, I think Hamish on Celtic AM answered that a wee while ago, because when start of the season, I think there was talk of Reegan being a bit of a set piece specialist, and I think he brought up as well about when was the last time he scored a free kick? I'm pretty sure he said that. So I think John is correct because I cannot think of one. And even before that one of Jota's, we weren't really scoring many direct free kicks anyway. It seems like a thing we could miss.
Probably Van Dijk.
Probably. I mean, I know that you look back on this era fondly. Remember when Pierre Van Hooijdonk was able to ping in a free kick like it was a penalty kick? Remember that era in the Tommy Burns era? Like, it was insane. If we got a free kick outside the area, it was like, this is as good as a goal. And Big Pierre would just stick it right in the top corner. But yeah, we haven't had a real consistent. Alan Thompson and Nakamura are obviously, the ones that stand out. But yeah, since Jota's one, I can't think of anything else. So something's maybe just completely glaring and I'm not seeing it. But yeah, it's something that we definitely, because set pieces are so vital. You're playing against a 10-man, 10-man behind the ball. You need to break them down with set pieces sometimes, and our corner delivery is quite abject at times. Free kicks, pretty abject. So it would be really handy if we had somebody we could rely on from just outside the area.
What I can say to John is we will get one this season. I'm convinced we'll definitely get one. It'll either be McCowan or Negrin.
Lord McCowan, okay, shout.
That's my tip. Celtic World Order, when am I over for the Hibs game? I am over on Saturday morning and I am cutting about Glasgow city centre until Monday morning. So if you see me lying about the street in a state, just pick me up and set me on a chair or something, and that's all you need to do. Okay, Hibs at the weekend, Phil. Their early season promise has sort of, I wouldn't say died off, but the last few games they haven't been at the same level they were. For example, when they went to Partizan and won 2-0, they lost to Ibrox last weekend and they threw away a 2-goal lead last night, I believe, against Falkirk. So they're not just at the top of their powers, but they're still a threat nonetheless. And it's a game that I think carries enough jeopardy to make it one to be looking forward to. I'm quite excited to be going over and going to it. I don't think it's one of those games where you just turn up and you expect you're just waiting for the goals to go in. I think we will have to work. I think we'll need to produce a performance to get the better of them. They are dangerous. The two guys up front, Boyle and Bhoys, they'll cause us problems. What's your thoughts for the weekend? One that you're looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to because Hibs are definitely one of those teams, especially in the last year or so, because David Gray, surprising to me, has managed to make them pretty credible. Because I thought when they appointed him, I was like, I won't last. In fact, they started last season terribly, but he's obviously turned that around and got them playing some quite attractive football. And Hibs are always a team that you do associate with attractive football, and that's fine. They, to me, will not come to Celtic Park and will sit with 10 men behind the ball. This isn't like a Ross County or a St Mirren. They've got a wee bit of an attack.
They've always had managers. They've had managers like, you think Collins and Mowbray. Even Big Mixu, as untidy a footballer as he was, he did encourage a good style of football. I'll tell you another one. I'm pretty sure he was at Hibs. Was John Hughes at Hibs?
John Hughes was Hibs manager, yeah, he was.
So if you remember him playing for Celtic, he was just a big rough and tumble centre back that they just get it out to safety. But whenever he became a manager, all of a sudden he wanted them playing. He wanted them playing like Barcelona.
Mm-hmm. They do play. So I think that can benefit us, because what are we struggling against this season? What is it when a team sits deep and doesn't really attack us? Kairat Almaty, they were quite happy to sit and play for 0-0 draws. The first half against Livingston, honking Livingston are never going to come and attack you, so we managed to luckily break them down. The Rangers one's a bit of the outlier, I suppose, because they had to win that day. The pressure was so much. They did actually try to come out a wee bit, and then we just didn't lay a glove on them. But yeah, we seem to be just really ugly to watch against teams that sit deep. So Hibs, I think that will probably benefit us, that they will come and try and be a bit open. And hopefully, we can take advantage of it. But yeah, we need to still be at our absolute best, because that boy Kieran Bowie up front, he's obviously shown that he's got a bit about him, so much so that some of our own fans were saying, oh, we should go for Kieran Bowie. And yeah, Boyle, despite, this is his second stint at Hibs, and obviously he's in his 30s now, he's still got something. He showed last week in the goal at Ibrox and get chopped off. He's still got that pace there, to break through on goals. So I will need to be wary about it. But I think Brendan will relish a type of game like this because it isn't a team that's going to sit with 10 men behind the ball. So I think he's quite up for when there's a team's quite open. I think it benefits us more. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be an enjoyable game.
I think I joked, well, one of those ones where you're joking, but you're not really joking about maybe 5 days to go in the window. I said, look, at this point, I would take Boyle and Bowie both. And I'll probably stand by that right now because I think Boyle on the right-hand side would be better than anything we've got on the right-hand side. And Bowie, I haven't seen a lot of him, but he seems to be very highly regarded. And there are rumours that we did try to nab him right at the very end of the window, but Hibs, which is well within their rights, asked for a little bit more than Celtic were prepared to pay, which will come as a shock.
We've heard that one before.
Yes. Come as a shock to anybody who follows this team of ours. Yes. Anyway, Phil, I'm going to call a halt to it there. We're 1 minute.
Bang on 11 o'clock. There you go. I said try and finish up by 11. Bang on.
We're off and running. We've got points on the board. Another 7 games to go. 4 at home. My expectation levels for this competition aren't that high. That said, I'd be very, very disappointed if we didn't get through to the next round. So I think, as you say, any sort of points picked up on the road are more than welcome. We should get through. We should get through this league phase, surely.
We don't need to wait long for the next game. It's next Thursday against Braga at Celtic Park. So they're coming. Around. Yeah, because of the new structure. The Champions League last week got sole focus, and this week it was the Europa League gets sole focus. So we've got 2 back-to-back weeks of Europa League. So it's Braga next Thursday at Celtic Park. Hellish kickoff time though, 6:15 on a Thursday night at Celtic Park. Yeah. Terrible, awful. But yeah, so hopefully we're sitting on 4 points come the end of that because the home games we have to make them count. We have to make something of this tournament. So yeah, hopefully we can do that. But Hibs first and foremost.
Hibs first and foremost. But if we did get a win next Thursday night and we're sitting here talking about 4 points from the first 2 games, that puts a lot more positive light on it. Okay, right. Hibs at the weekend. We'll have a chat about the bus home and whether I'm likely to be on it or not. We'll see how the weekend plays out. But 122 live at the minute, so thank you everyone for sticking with us. I know there was loads and loads of pods on straight after the game, so thank you very much appreciate it. And I will chat to you all soon. Okay.
Yep. Thanks a lot, guys. Cheers.